بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله النبي الكريم. قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولقد آتينا لقمان الحكمة أن اشكر لله ومن يشكر فإنما يشكر لنفسه ومن كفر فإن الله غني حميد. صدق الله مولانا العظيم صدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك لمن الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Respected brothers and sisters, as we move through this pandemic and we're nearly at the Day of Independence for the United States, tomorrow being July 4th, we find that there are many who are still not benefiting from the independence of the United States, even though they helped build and found this nation. And of course, we're speaking about the black community, right? And definitely they're not the only ones being targeted. This is, of course, there are many other minorities that are also unfortunately not benefiting from the freedom which is supposed to be given to every single citizen, right? But currently, the black people are those who are being afflicted the most. And so, but the reality is that Islam has always honored the black community. Islam has always honored the black community. And without getting too political, today inshallah we'll be discussing one historic black figure in our history. We'll be discussing one person, one of the many, many amazing black and men and women in our rich legacy. We'll be speaking about this one person who, because of his wisdom, Allah Ta'ala speaks about him in the Quran. Allah Ta'ala quotes him in the Quran. And his words are engraved in the Quran, which will be read until the Day of Judgment, until forever and beyond. And so, not only that, he was not a prophet himself, but his name is Luqman Al-Hakeem. His name is Luqman Al-Hakeem. And so of course many of us, we know him, right? We know Luqman Al-Hakeem. But just as a brief description inshallah, and starting from today inshallah, we'll be discussing the advices of Luqman radiallahu anhu as mentioned in the Quran. And so this will be a series inshallah, today being the first, and inshallah as in the coming weeks inshallah we'll be discussing the advices Allah Ta'ala, his advices that Allah Ta'ala brings in the Quran inshallah. And so just a description regarding Luqman radiallahu anhu. Who was he? Who was Luqman radiallahu anhu? It's mentioned that Ibn Kathir rahmatullah alayhi, he mentions that most of the scholars, aside from Akramah radiallahu anhu, most of the scholars, they say that he was just a wise person. He was not a Nabi. He was just a very righteous and wise person, but he was not a scholar. He was not a Nabi, he was not a prophet. Right? Akramah radiallahu anh and others, they also say that he was a prophet, but most of the scholars say he was not a prophet. And Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he says that he was a slave who was from Abyssinia, now Ethiopia, and he was a Najjar, he was a carpenter. And the scholars, they mentioned that initially he was a slave, but then his master freed him and his master gave him some wealth as well. And that was mainly because of his wisdom and because of his immense knowledge. It's also mentioned that after he was freed, because of his knowledge, Allah Ta'ala honored him so much. Because of his knowledge, Allah Ta'ala honored him so much that he became a qadi in the Bani Israel. He became a qadi in the Bani Israel. That's how much Allah Ta'ala honored him with his knowledge. He was alive during the time of Dawood alayhi salam. So he was alive for, scholars say he was alive for a very long time. Some scholars even suggest that he was alive for more than 1,000 years. Right? And so during that period, Dawood alayhi salam was also sent. And before Dawood alayhi salam was sent, he was the qadi and he used to issue verdicts. But after Dawood alayhi salam was sent, because Dawood alayhi salam was a prophet and Luqman radiallahu anh was not a prophet, Dawood alayhi salam started to issue the verdicts, and he would take and he would address the people and issue the rulings. And so one day the people, they asked Luqman radiallahu anh, why don't you issue rulings anymore? Right? Why don't you issue rulings anymore? So he said something, he said, أَلَا أَكْتَفِي إِذَا كُفِيتُ. He said, shouldn't I, when my job is being done, shouldn't I give it up to the one who is more deserving? When my job is being complete, should I not leave it to that person who is completing it? The person who is doing it? Right? So again, this was from his wisdom, right? Him not being a prophet, right? And Dawud alayhi salam being a prophet, he allowed Dawud alayhi salam to continue, and he himself did not issue verdicts. Some scholars, they say there are some da'if riwayat, there are some weak narrations that suggest that he was given the choice, between nubuwah and wisdom. Right? And then he chose wisdom. And so then it was asked of him, why did you choose wisdom? When Allah Ta'ala offered you wisdom and nubuwah, why did you choose wisdom? So he also, again, there he says something amazing. He says that had Allah Ta'ala given me nubuwah without asking me, then perhaps I would have tried my best, and I would, try to accomplish the role and responsibilities of nubuwah. But because Allah Ta'ala gave me the option, therefore I thought it's possible that I may not fulfill the rights of nubuwah, and that's why I chose wisdom instead of nubuwah. Again, this is a weak narration, but it is a narration that's mentioned in Tafsir ibn Kathir and others as well. We'll mention a few other stories inshallah, and we'll go into the ayah as well, the specific ayah that I recited. Allah Ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا لُقْمَانَ الْحِكْمَةِ. Right? Allah Ta'ala says that we gave Luqman radiallahu anh al-hikmah. We gave him hikmah. What is hikmah? Hikmah is faham, it's understanding. It's also knowledge, and it's also ta'bir, the ability to interpret dreams. Right? Allah Ta'ala gave him all of these things. He was a very wise and intelligent person. Right? It's mentioned there are books written on just his wisdoms, the gems. You'll find many books written just on the wisdoms, and many compilations of the wise advices, the counsels of Luqman radiallahu anhu, Luqman Al-Hakeem. Jabir radiallahu anhu, the famous Sahabi, he mentions that one day Luqman radiallahu anhu, he was giving his advice and he was giving his speeches, and so a man came to him, and that man recognized him from before. Meaning before he, from the time when he was a slave. Right? So فَقَالَ لَهُ, so that person, he said to him, aren't you that same person who's from that same tribe? Aren't you that person? Right? The person who used to be a slave? And you used to herd the sheep, so you were the shepherd for these people? He said, yes. Right? So Luqman said, yes, that's what I used to be. And I used to do that. And so that person, he's astonished, he's asking, how did you reach these high levels where the people are flocking towards you? The people are, all around you. The people are at your doorstep. The people are everywhere. How did you reach this high maqam and this high stage? So Luqman radiallahu anhu, he says 3 things. He says 3 things led me to where I am right now. 3 valuable advices. But first he says, qadarullah. Firstly, it's always from the decree of Allah Ta'ala. Allah Ta'ala brought me to where I am today. That's number 1. After that, he gives his advices. But always qadrullah. Qadrullah always comes first. It's the decree of Allah Ta'ala. If Allah Ta'ala wants, Allah Ta'ala can elevate us. If Allah Ta'ala doesn't want, Allah Ta'ala can degrade us as well. It depends on how we choose and how we honor Allah Ta'ala and how we respect those things related to Allah Ta'ala and related to the deen. If you honor those things, Allah Ta'ala will honor us. And if you don't honor those things, then Allah Ta'ala will degrade us. So he says, firstly, of course, wherever I am, it's because of the decree of Allah Ta'ala. And 3 things, ada'ul amana. Right? Ada'ul amana. Firstly, I always fulfill my trust. And I always make sure that those things which are entrusted to me, I never breach those trusts. And now this is something amazing, right? Many times when we think about trusts, we think about something someone physically gives us, right? Something physical, right? Maybe some jewelry, some money, something that this is an amana, right? But that's not the only definition of amana. Right? Amana can also be, conversations. Right? Conversations can also be amana, where a person has a private conversation with you. To make sure that that conversation remains between you, that's also an amana. Al-mustasharu mu'taminun. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says the person who is consulted, the person who you consult, he is an ameen. Right? He's taken as an ameen. He's taken as a person who has the responsibility of fulfilling that amana. So when someone speaks to you privately, you should not expose that to anyone. Not your family, not your friends, no one. Right? Make sure that conversation remains between you two. And of course the other forms of amanat as well. Make sure that you fulfill the rights of amanah, that you are not wasting those amanat, and you are not destroying the wealth of others intentionally. Right? So the first, he says, this led me to where I am today. Number one is ada'ul amana, fulfilling the amanat, those trusts that were given to me. Number two, sidqul hadith, basic things, simple things. We teach children these things, right? We teach kids these things. Second is to speak the truth. Speaking the truth led me to where I am today. Allah Ta'ala loves those who speak the truth. And Allah Ta'ala does not. Allah Ta'ala dislikes those who lie. So simple things. Speaking the truth. And third, وَتَرْكِ مَا لَا يَعْنِينِي. This is the most important. Right? Even beyond speaking the truth. Leaving those things which don't benefit me. Leaving those things which don't benefit me. SubhanAllah, nowadays it's very difficult. It's very difficult to leave those things which a person doesn't find benefit in. A person understands. A person knows that this is wasting hours of my life. This is wasting so much time from my busy schedule, from my family, from those people who have rights upon me. But even then we involve ourselves with so many different things. And I won't go into specific details, right? Everyone knows what we're speaking about, right? There are many different things by which people waste so much time. Yes, of course, a person should, engage in activities that are, that clear the mind, that relax the mind. Right? But as for those things specifically, and spending so much time behind those things, whereas you forget and you are unable to fulfill your obligations, then of course that's injustice. And leaving those things which don't benefit me. It's going to apply to different things. Right? And if I mention something specific, people might get angry. Right? If I mention sports, right? People might not like it if I mention sports. Right? So I won't mention sports. But you'll get the idea, inshallah. Right? There are many things that, of course, waste a lot of time. And again, try to limit those things, especially during this time. Especially during this time when you're home. Majority of people are home now, alhamdulillah, right? So it's very easy to spend time with the family. It's very easy to spend time, reciting Quran and worshiping Allah Ta'ala. But even at this time, even when we don't have to travel for work, even when we don't have to leave our families and go outside as often, right? Even at this time, if we are not, getting closer to Allah Ta'ala, if we are not building our relationship with our families, then when will we ever have the chance? When will we ever have the chance to do this? Right. So remember these three advices from Luqman radiallahu anhu. Just yesterday I was speaking to some students, right? And I mentioned, they were saying that we play some video games and stuff, right? So I asked them, which games, what's the most that you spent? What's the longest you spent, playing games or doing other things? So one student, he said 16 hours. 16 hours. Consecutively, not like different days or throughout the week. This is one day. So I said, food? He said, I just went out for food, quick breaks, and came right back. 16 hours. And this is a student from the community, right? Not someone far-fetched. Right? SubhanAllah, this is a reality, right? I'm not saying that you should prohibit or break the Xbox or break the PS4. If you do, mashallah, mashallah. If you do. But what I'm saying is that limit. Make sure there's some form of limit that, people are not foregoing the rights of Allah Ta'ala, not foregoing the rights of the families and others. Luqman radiallahu anhu, while he was a slave, right, he always was wise, right? And so, while he was a slave, his master asked him that slaughter this sheep for me, and bring me the two best parts of this sheep. Bring me the two best parts. So, and I'm sure many of us have heard this story before as well. Remember how much we practiced upon these stories. So Luqman, he slaughtered the sheep and he brought the tongue and the heart. He brought the tongue and the heart for the master. Some time later, the master, he asks again, slaughter the sheep for me and bring me the worst things, the worst parts of the sheep. So Luqman slaughters the sheep and he brings the heart and the tongue. So the master asks, why did you do this? I asked you two different questions, you brought the same two organs. So Luqman radiallahu anh, he mentions, he says that when these two organs, when they're correct and when they're righteous, the rest of the body follows. When the heart is clean, when the tongue is clean, then the rest of the body follows. But when these two are filthy, then the entire body is worthless and disgusting. So, and these are very similar to the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says that there's one specific organ in the body. If this is clean and pure, then the entire body will follow. And if this is dirty and disgusting and filthy, then the entire body will be filthy. And he says, Ala wa hiya al-qalb. He says that's the heart. He was speaking about the heart. If your heart is clean, if your heart is pure, you're not jealous of everyone, right? You don't look at everyone and think, this person has this more, he has this much money, or he has this and that, and I don't have this, right? Or you don't have envy towards others, right? You don't have hatred towards others. If you have this, if your heart is clean, then inshallah, the rest of your body will be clean as well. But if your heart is dirty and filthy, then the rest of the body will also be filthy. One Sahabi once asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Rasulullah, man najat? He asked, Ya Rasulullah, there are so many trials and tribulations. What's the way out? What's the way out? How do we safeguard ourselves through the times of difficulties? So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also said three things. He said, number one, amlik alayka lisanak, hold your tongue. Hold your tongue. In the times of trials and tribulations, and in the times of fitna, hold your tongue, number one. Number two, وَلْيَسَعْكَ بَيْتُكَ. Your house should be enough for you. Your house should be sufficient for you. You shouldn't leave your house unless necessary. These are advices, of course, for the pandemic as well, but also in the deen as well. That your house should be enough for you. Remain in your houses, especially when there's so much fitna outside. When every single thing is calling you away from deen. Stay in your houses. And thirdly, وَابْكِ عَلَى خَطِيَتِكَ. Cry over your sins. Lament over your sins. Every single one of us, we're sinners. We all sin. Every single one of us, we sin. Now, there are some people who expose their own sins. Allah Ta'ala covers their sins. And they expose their own sins. They post it on social media. They tell others about it. Those people, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, every single person, some point or another, their sins will be forgiven. Except for those who expose themselves. Right? Allah Ta'ala concealed his sins, and then the next morning he goes and he tells his friends, he tells his family members, I did this, I did that. Right? Thinking that it's nothing wrong. But he's a mujahid. He's a mujahid. He's a person who's exposing himself. He is exposing his own sins. So Rasulullah says three things will lead you to salvation from all types of fitan, all types of trials and tribulations. Number one is to hold your tongue. And nowadays also the scholars, they say, hold your thumbs also. Hold your thumbs as well. Not only your tongues, but also your thumbs. Be careful what you text. Be careful what you write online. Be very careful what you say to others. It's very easy to speak bad about someone online. It's very easy. When you're a keyboard warrior, you're speaking online and you speak bad about someone. It's easy to text someone, but those same things you won't say in front of their face. Right? Now, subhanAllah, even if you were able to say in their faces, don't be bold. Don't be bold to do these types of malicious and have these, bad behaviors. So, amlik alayk lisanak, hold your tongues, right? And your thumbs. Number 2, remain in your houses. And number 3, وَابْكِ عَلَى خَطِيَّتِكَ, cry over your sins. We'll conclude inshallah a few minutes. So Allah Ta'ala continues, He says, أَنِشْكُرْ لِلَّهِ وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا لُقْمَانَ الْحِكْمَةَ أَنِشْكُرْ لِلَّهِ. Right? Allah Ta'ala says that we gave Luqman radiallahu anhu wisdom, so أَنِشْكُرْ لِلَّهِ. Right? Scholars, they give 2 interpretations of this أَنِشْكُرْ لِلَّهِ. Right? That number 1 is that be grateful to Allah because of the wisdom Allah Ta'ala gave you. Right? أَنِشْكُرْ لِلَّهِ. Be grateful to Allah because of the wisdom Allah gave you. Other scholars say something amazing. They say that, no, that gratitude leads you to the wisdom of Allah, that wisdom given to you by Allah. Gratitude leads you to having wisdom, or becoming wise. So either because of the wisdom Allah Ta'ala gave you, be grateful, or be grateful and Allah Ta'ala will bless you with wisdom. In Tafsir Qurtubi, he mentioned this. In Tafsir Madhari, he says that there are 3 types of shukr. There are 3 types of shukr. There are 3 types of gratitude. Number 1 is the shukrul qalb, the gratitude of the heart, where you think about and you're grateful for the blessing Allah Ta'ala has given you. SubhanAllah, the reality is we don't even think about the blessings Allah Ta'ala has given us. Every single day we wake up healthy, wealthy, safe. These are huge blessings. We need to continuously be grateful to Allah Ta'ala. Right? So 1 is the shukrul qalb, the gratitude of the heart. 2nd is shukrul lisan, is the gratitude on the tongue. Also say Alhamdulillah. Be grateful to Allah that Allah Ta'ala has given you. So 1 is, yes, I'm grateful in my heart. 2nd, also say it. Say that I'm grateful Allah gave me this. Not that my job gave me this. Not that my wisdom, not that my intelligence gave me this, but Allah Ta'ala gave me this. And thirdly, shukrul jawarih. This is the shukr, the gratitude of your limbs, where you act accordingly. Act according to the blessings Allah Ta'ala has given you. Those blessings Allah Ta'ala has given you, use those for the proper avenues. Use them in the proper avenues. Right? Whatever skills Allah Ta'ala has given you, whatever blessings Allah Ta'ala has given you, use them for the sake of Allah Ta'ala. Use them for the propagation of deen, however it may be. Whether you're proficient and you're skilled in IT, you're skilled in, SubhanAllah, and Alhamdulillah, this community is actually amazing. MashaAllah, many people, they've reached out and they say, often, Alhamdulillah, in the community, they say, I work in ACs. Right? Anytime the masjid has any issues with ACs, let me know. Right? And other people, they say the same with IT and so many other things, MashaAllah. So this is the way. Not everyone is an imam. Not everyone can be a scholar. Right? But everyone can help and promote the deen in their own way. وَمَنْ يَشْكُرْ فَإِنَّمَا يَشْكُرُ لِنَفْسِهِ. The one who is grateful, he is grateful only for himself. He is only grateful for himself. Meaning the benefit comes back only to him. It doesn't go anywhere else. When a person is grateful, what happens? The gratitude, the benefit of that gratitude comes back to him. Allah Ta'ala says, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you're grateful, I will increase your ni'mah. I'll increase your blessings. So who gets the benefit? We get the benefit. If you're grateful to Allah, Allah will increase. وَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ وَمَنْ كَفَرْ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ حَمِيدٌ. And whoever is ungrateful, whoever doesn't, trust, and whoever doesn't say that, or whoever doesn't concede all of his blessings to Allah Ta'ala, then Allah Ta'ala is ghani. Allah Ta'ala is independent, Hamid. Allah Ta'ala is already praised. He doesn't need our praise. Remember this, inshallah. Today we were speaking, where we spoke about the first ayah amongst the advice of Luqman radiallahu anhu. We spoke about Luqman radiallahu anhu. We spoke about the topic of gratitude, inshallah. We will continue over the next few weeks, inshallah. I've mentioned this before as well. If it's not too difficult, inshallah, you can also come for the 2nd and 3rd Jumu'ah, inshallah. And inshallah, this lecture will also be posted online so that you can benefit those who aren't able to come for the first Jumu'ah. They can also listen to it online, or those who think that they might be crowded in the first Jumu'ah, they can also listen to it online, inshallah, on YouTube, and then they can come for the 2nd or 3rd Jumu'ah, inshallah. As you all know, we have the 2nd Jumu'ah at 2:15 and the 3rd Jumu'ah at 3 p.m. So you can come for all of those, inshallah. Also, the deck is available if anyone wants to use to pray outside. And alhamdulillah, we have masks and hand sanitizers. touchless hand sanitizer at both the exits, inshallah. So please feel free to use them, inshallah. And inshallah we'll continue with this series, inshallah, next week. جزاكم الله خيرا سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.